بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. Respected elders, dear brothers and sisters, my young friends, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. MashaAllah, this is a Friday which is a special day for all Muslims, but especially special for us today and for me, because I always look forward to meeting my young friends. So today is a PD day. Most of our young friends are off of school, so it's great to have you here today. And inshallah, I will hope that what we hear and what we discuss will be of benefit, inshallah, to all of us, young and old. I'd like to start off by asking you to think about a time when you went to a new school. So it could be that you went to school for the very first time, or perhaps your family moved, or you changed schools, and it's your first day. It's your first day at your new school. Now, of course, when you go to a school for the first time, it's possible that you will be feeling anxiety, because everything is new. Maybe you've seen the facility before, but you don't exactly know where everything is. You don't know how things are going to work. You don't know what the rules and the policies are in detail. You wonder what your teacher is going to be like. Who's going to become your friend? Your first recess, who are you going to spend it with? How are your classmates going to treat you? The chances are that when you went to your school for the first time, chances are that your teacher welcomed you. And at first, perhaps your classmates didn't really interact much. Maybe there were one or two, people who were kinder, nicer than everyone else who reached out, who welcomed you. But most chances are that the majority of your classmates at first didn't really talk to you, didn't really include you. But then once they got to know you, people found out what your name was, and you started to, see who's like what, right? Because there's always some characters. That's what I do, by the way. I'm in university again, by the way. So when I go to class for the first time, I always like to sit at the back. I did that at the beginning too when I was doing my undergrad. So I like to sit at the back and just observe and just see who's who. Who are the movers and shakers? Who's the one who's always going to speak first or talk the most? And what are they going to say? So I just sit there and just sort of examine the whole thing for a bit, right? And then I get a sense, I map it all out, then I know, okay, what are the dynamics here? So once you get to know your classmates and they get to know you, things become normal, most of the time. And most chances are that you got along fairly well with your classmates, I would hope. But there are times when things don't go well. There are times when you are perhaps new, or even after you've spent some time in school, or it could be your workplace, that things don't go well. Perhaps there are some fellow students, co-workers, who are rude, who are impolite, who are mean, boys and girls, mean girls, right? Bullies. Perhaps they mock you. Perhaps there's something that they pick on and they make fun of you. Maybe it's your clothing. Right? Maybe they make up something about how you smell. Maybe it's the lunch your mom packed you, right? And you open it up and everyone smelled it and started making fun of you. Maybe it's your shoes. Sometimes it's your skin color. Maybe it's the way you speak English. Maybe it's your name. Maybe it's your name. Sometimes parents, well-meaning parents, give very good, Islamically very nice names to their children. But the way it's written and spelled out, and the way it's pronounced by people who are not familiar with that name, can sometimes be very troubling for that child, because it becomes a point of mockery and bullying. So it's something to keep in mind. It could also be because of your religion. Now, chances are that there will be only a few people like this, and that the majority will be fine. Most teachers will also be caring and will be supportive, but it's possible, because teachers are also human beings. They're not perfect. We're taught to look up to our teachers as if they're perfect and they're sources of authority, and we take everything that they say and we accept it because it's supposed to be true. But sometimes it's possible that a teacher is unfair or unnecessarily mean or harsh towards a student. Perhaps they are biased. So my brothers and sisters and my young friends, the state of the Canadian Muslim community is similar. Muslims arrived here, and I love asking this question: when was the first Muslim child born, do you think? When I do presentations. People are sort of caught on now, so they're going back now. But normally it would be like, 1950s, 1960s. But the reality is that Muslims arrived here in the mid-1800s, over 160 years ago. We are not newcomers. Islam is not new in Canada. It has been here since before Canada was formed, since before Confederation. And at first, most people didn't know much about Islam and about Muslims, because the number of Muslims were very few. If you talk to our elders, even in this city, they will tell you that there was a time when the Muslim community in Ottawa could basically fit in this hall. That there would be fewer people for Eid Salah than we have for Salat al-Jum'ah today. So the numbers were small. So at first, the majority of people didn't really know anything about Muslims and about Islam. But over time, we have become more prominent. And our faith has become more known. So there's some things which are accepted and which are known, like the hijab. The vast majority of people in Canada will know what a hijab is. If you mention halal, they know because they go to the supermarket and they see it. Or they get a flyer that says Ramadan Kareem, Ramadan Mubarak, right? Store flyers. So they're familiar, they know. They know what a masjid is or what a mosque is. Most of our fellow citizens are fine with us, and they treat us with respect. The majority of people. But then, just like there are in school, there are some bullies who don't like us, and they don't want us to be here. Either because perhaps they hate Islam, or they can't stand people who are different than them. There are people like that who have such views. And what these bullies are doing is that they're working very hard to turn more people into bullies, like themselves, so that they can grow and start to gang up on us. It's important to note that it's not the majority, right? Just like in school, it's not the majority of people. Now, the government has historically been relatively fair and welcoming. But just like there are teachers who are sometimes mean and unfair, we have also had political leaders who have also been mean and unfair and who have bullied our community, unfortunately. Sadly, it was one of the bullies, not the political leader type of bully, but it was one of the bullies who went to the masjid in Quebec City about a year ago and shot people as they were praying, as they were offering salah, right after Salat al-Isha on a Sunday. And 6 of those brothers of ours passed away. The most unfortunate part of all of this is that many of the bullies are simply ignorant. Not all of them were always bullies, but because of their ignorance, the leaders of the bullies were able to attract them and suck them into their hatred and turn them into bullies as well. So what the leaders of the bullies like to do is spread lies about us and make people suspicious and afraid of ordinary Muslims like you and me. They'll put all these thoughts and negative ideas in their minds so that when they come across a Muslim, they're afraid. And there's a whole list of thoughts and assumptions that run through their mind when they come across a Muslim. Of course, the Muslims who do things which are wrong don't obviously help either. And they give an excuse to the bullies to win even more people over, because they use these few examples of these Muslims who commit acts which are wrong and illegal and haram and say to them that, look, this is why the Muslims are here, this is what they want to do to us, and this is what they believe in. And they come up with all these different types of conspiracies. It's mind-boggling if you actually look at what they are promoting and propagating. And they try to tap into anger, which is misplaced. People are upset and angry when something happens. When something bad happens, they're upset and they're angry. And if they find out that a Muslim is behind it, they are naturally angry, and these bullies then tell them and guide them and lead them to turn their anger towards Muslims like us. But in all of this, we have to remember that the majority of people are fair and are kind. They may follow other religions. They may even disagree with us on many things, which is their choice. But they stand against any attempt to hurt us or to hurt anyone else. And many, even though they may have disagreements with us, they continue to show support and solidarity. So today, quickly, I want to highlight 5 points. Number 1 is that we must be thankful to such people for their kindness and their support. Because the Prophet ﷺ has told us, narrated by Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, that he has not thanked Allah who has not thanked people. لا يشكر الله من لا يشكر الناس. So it is a part of our deen, it is a part of our religion to thank people. And once we thank people, we will also realize that we should be thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah Azza wa Jalla makes people means of goodness. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses people as means to get goodness to us. So therefore, we show our appreciation and gratitude to Allah Azza wa Jalla, but also to the people who are involved in this goodness. As far as the bullies go, we will likely be unable to change their leaders. Because once a person goes too far in their evil, and this should be a reminder for us as well, that once a person goes too far, crosses all boundaries of evil, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala seals off their hearts so that nothing can help them become better. Nothing can help them. Once that seal is placed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on their spiritual hearts, as Allah Azza wa Jalla tells us right in the beginning of the Quran, in the beginning of Surah Al-Baqarah, خَتَمَ اللَّهُ عَلَىٰ قُلُوبِهِمْ وَعَلَىٰ سَمْعِهِمْ وَعَلَىٰ أَبْصَارِهِمْ غِشَاوَةٌ. That Allah has set a seal upon their hearts and upon their hearing, and over their vision is a veil. So they're not going to be able to identify any goodness. Anything that is good will seem ugly to them. And no goodness will be able to penetrate their hearts because they have made choices of evil after evil after evil after evil, to the point where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, okay, that's it. Now your heart is sealed, that's the way you want to be, you're going to stay like that. And you're never going to be able to change. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most powerful. And sometimes He even guides the bullies. It does happen. Sometimes He guides the leaders of the bullies. Right? So Allah is the one who can seal the hearts, but Allah is also the one who can guide. Right? And Allah is the one who guides, and it's not people who guide. We make efforts, but Allah is the one who gives guidance. We have a recent example from the previous week of a leading German politician from a far-right anti-Islam party that wants to put restrictions on Islam in their country. It is reported that he quit. He quit from his political party, and he was not saying anything why. The party announces that it's because he has converted to Islam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best, but this is what is reported. But a verified case from a few years back is that of Arnold van Doorn, a Dutch anti-Islam, far-right politician. Once again, similar story. Converted to Islam. Announced it on Twitter. Can you imagine? Like all these followers were following him because of his hatred, and they like to follow him because of all the garbage that he spews. And then all of a sudden one day, like he goes quiet, and then one day he tweets, "Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah." Like, okay, did he get hacked? Like, what happened here? But no, he actually accepted Islam. Went for Hajj. Went to the Rawdah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he sallallahu alaihi wasallam is resting, is buried, and apologized to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam for his role in producing a film that misrepresented the teachings of Islam, that mocked the teachings of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and vowed to spend the same amount of energy, greater amount of energy, correcting that he had. So this is possible. These examples are right in front of us. It happened at the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, with people who were enemies and who hated Islam, and it's happening today as well. Because Allah Azza wa Jal is great, and it's the same Allah that existed then and that is today, that we worship today. So that's number one. Number two, because of that, we should make dua for our beliefs, for the beliefs. We should make dua for everyone, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides them and turns their evil, the evil that is in their hearts, into goodness. That is something that we should all aim to do. Because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has told us that لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. That none of you will have faith, complete faith, until he or she loves for his brother what he loves for himself. And Imam Nawawi rahimahullah, he comments on this hadith, and he says that brotherhood mentioned here is general. The brotherhood that is mentioned here is not just your brother in relation or brother in faith even, but brother or sister in humanity. And you should want good for everyone. So even the one who is a disbeliever, who is an enemy to the teachings of Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you should also want good for him or her. I don't want this person to face the wrath and punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the hereafter. I want this person to be guided. Not for me, not for my benefit, but for their own benefit. So this is the concern that we should have for every single person, and especially those who are active in expressing their enmity and their hatred. We should make special dua for their guidance. Number three, my brothers and sisters and my young friends, we also have to recognize, as I mentioned, that there are people who are not bullies yet. They're not against us yet, but the bullies are trying to reach them and are trying to convert them and turn them into bullies and win them over. And before they're able to do that, we need to reach them. We need to reach them before the bullies reach them, by sharing with them what Islam and Muslims are really about. And the best way to do this is through our behavior and our character. The best way to do this is through our behavior and through our character. So be a person of truth. Be a person of honesty and be recognized as such. Be upright. So that people know that, oh, I have a Muslim classmate, I can trust him or her, they're not going to harm me. They're not going to go around my back, behind my back and speak ill of me. I can trust them with my things and my affairs. Similarly as co-workers and neighbors as well. Be upright, be proud of your religion and your background. There's nothing to be ashamed about to be a Muslim. So it's the source of pride. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed you and has given you this iman. So be proud of your Islam and be proud of being a Muslim. Learn about your deen. Because if you don't understand it yourself, how are you going to share it with others? How are you going to explain it to others? So learn it and practice it openly. And be friendly so people feel comfortable asking you about it. And they're no longer afraid of it. I'm surprised. Sometimes I'm in the store, maybe it's Dollarama or Canadian Tire or wherever, Walmart. And it happened more than once that this this is how I go, right? So like you see what I look like. So I'm thinking people are going to be afraid. But subhanAllah, people will come, and many times elderly people, excuse me sir, do you know where this is? And they know like I don't work at all around the hotel, right? But they feel comfortable, alhamdulillah. They feel comfortable, right? And that's a good thing. That's what I hope is the situation for everyone, that when people see us, they don't feel afraid. Even if you're dressed like this, that people are not afraid, but rather they feel comfortable to come and to approach you and ask for help. And we should go out of our way to offer assistance. And all of this so that if a bully comes to them, trying to spread lies about us, or they hear a bully in the media who is spewing lies and misinformation, they say to themselves, that's not what I've seen Muslims to be like. I'm not going to fall for this. Because I know from my experience, this is not what the Muslims I have interacted with, or that I have seen in my community, in my neighborhood. This is not what they're like. So I'm not going to believe that. Number 4, report any incidents of hate or bullying, especially if it's based on your religion, to the authorities and to the National Council of Canadian Muslims. If you come across something, right, people are targeting you, you should report it. Report it to your school authorities, report it to the police, and report it to the MCCM so that they can vouch for you, they can support you, and they know what is going on in the country so that they can speak to the authorities and to our leaders and report what is happening. But do not respond to bullies, do not engage with bullies. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us the qualities He talks about, the people who are good, that speak of the people who have great qualities that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks highly about. وَإِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا. That when the ignorant address them, they say words of peace. Or they say peace. They do not engage. Peace. See you later, I don't have time for this. You move on. Reporting is important, but you must be truthful, and I cannot emphasize this enough. You must be truthful. Right? It has happened more than once that for one reason or another, people have made up stories, and especially about attacks related to Islam, that they were targeted or attacked because of how they were dressed, or because they were Muslim. And this has happened more than once. It's not the only time that it's happened recently. Okay? So, very, very important. Do not make up stories. It goes against who you are as a Muslim and what your faith teaches you, and it will end up hurting our community further. So please be careful. If it's something that truly happened, then you do report it. But don't embellish or make up stories. And finally, my brothers and sisters, increase your connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Remember Allah azza wa jal more often. Pray more often. Try to increase your love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Get closer to the Quran. Recite it, reflect upon it, listen to it, so that your faith is strengthened. And come closer to your community, so that your bonds of brotherhood and sisterhood are strengthened, and ultimately your connection with Allah Azza wa Jalla is strengthened. And ultimately what we hope for is to have complete reliance on Allah. Complete reliance on Allah so that nothing worries or scares you. Nothing worries you or scares you. People may be trying to scare you, but your heart is at peace. That is where we want to reach. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran about people of the past. These were good believers. And the hypocrites tried to scare them. And what did they say? إِنَّ النَّاسَ قَدْ جَمَعُوا لَكُمْ فَخْشَوْهُمْ. Indeed, the people have gathered against you. Look, there's so many people against you. So fear them. You should be afraid. Everyone is against you. You should be afraid. But instead, what was their response? فَزَادَهُمْ إِيمَانًا. But what did it do instead? It increased them in their iman and in their faith. وَقَالُوا حَسْبُنَا اللَّهُ وَنِعْمَ الْوَكِيلُ. What did they say? Sufficient for us is Allah, and He is the best disposer of affairs. So this is the state that we want to reach. Unfortunately, hate against Islam and Muslims is on the rise. We must not be complacent and think that we have a seemingly positive or friendly government, so we don't have anything to worry about. We must continue to work hard, and alhamdulillah, we are seeing success. But guess what? That makes the bullies even more angry. Okay? So we must remember that our job is to continue trying. And truly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the ultimate protector. He is the best of planners. And He is the true grantor of honor and success. Our job, as I mentioned before, my brothers and sisters and my friends, is to try our best and leave for Allah the rest. finally, I will end with the verse where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that you will surely be tested in your possessions and yourselves. And you will surely hear much abuse from those who were given the scripture before you and those who associate others with Allah. So it's going to happen. You are going to be bothered. You are going to be perhaps hurt. And there will be animosity. Not through everyone, but there will be some who will do this. So what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says? But if you are patient and you fear Allah, or if you guard yourself against evil, you can translate it both ways. Indeed, that is one of the matters worthy of determination. That is what you should stick to. And know that this is going to happen to you. So stick close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Guard yourself from evil. And be patient. And continue trying your best. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. We ask Allah azza wa jalla to protect us, our brothers and sisters around the world. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect all of the innocent people of the world. May Allah azza wa jalla guide those who are misguided. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to replace the evil that exists in the hearts of those who want to oppress us, to replace that with goodness and guidance. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reward and continue to guide those who are fair and just. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless the souls of our brothers who passed away at the masjid in Quebec City about a year ago. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring ease and relief for their family members. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cure and grant relief to those who were injured in that attack. I mean,